Hey, yo, what's going on? Peace, family. Um, so this is Scrolls of Truth number 2, and today we are discussing exactly how power works. So the art of power. Power is a very strong source. We're talking about, whether it's through an individual or whether it's through electricity. Power is the ultimate um, achievement, right? For uh, for some. I wouldn't say most because I don't think the that most people have the mentality to want to go after power. Now, the how do you achieve this power? Where does it come from, and and who has it, right? Those are the type of things that we want to know, and when you get this power, you get this power from a level of massive influence. Like I said, I always kind of backtrack to the ancient past, and let's pull from the Romans, right? The Romans were known for um, a lot of populist power, right? Because of their generals, their emperors, they all had massive influence. You know what I mean? And it all started with one personnel like a king, and then this person gets offed, because they're not popular no more, and this new young up and coming king is the new popular influential candidate, right? So power has the ability to transform from you know person after person, and it works exactly how electricity works. It's able to move you know from one thing to the next, right, in order to be in one spot and then to be in another spot and another, right? Power is very important, and I like to make an example on the ultimate power, right? And I like to say that the ultimate power source is the oligarchs and the elites that run the US, right? And the way they achieve the power is probably the most disturbing way that a country or the beginning of a country could possibly do, right? And they really did it through, I'm not going to say strategy, I'm just going to say that they did it through the just the way they are, the people that they are. It's kind of like a blood thing, you know what I mean? And it all starts, you know, long ago, right? It starts long ago with, people achieving these powers in different, ancient days, right? And once you have it, it continues to go on, like I said, to the next person, to the next person. And the US was able to attribute this power, and I want to say a Eurocentric aspect, because um, that's exactly the people that's been running this country, and it came by way of force, right? And that's one way that you can achieve power, is by way of force, and it not just happened by way of force, and we'll touch a little bit on that, but it happened primarily because of having people forget who they are, the ability to strip someone of their identity, and the ability to suppress individuals when it comes to learning aspects, right? because, like I said, this country was built off of the backs of you know um, Africans, Black Africans from Africa, right? Um, they had some other cultures, but primarily it was Black Africans, right? My ancestors, my great 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 grandparents, um, and they were able to do these things, right? And like I said, it wasn't just force, you know, it was a way of influence, and it was a way of having someone not being able to learn, right? Because when you suppress the learning factor upon a civilization, it really evolves in a point where only one source is going to be in control because they have the knowledge. And if there is an inequality when it comes to knowledge, then there will be um, a position of power at some point. And it's it's crazy because it's kind of like the example we have today, where it's very lopsided today with our economic system. And I just talked about this on another social media platform where I said that you know they need to start teaching economics seriously within the school systems, the public school systems, because the only thing that this public school system is doing is making robots. It's making more employees. It's making workers, but it's not making special creative individuals. And not only that, you're not going to ever be able to make the type of money that the 1% makes, because they've learned something that you have not learned. And if you do learn, it's probably way too late in time. And that's where I go back and I said the US, the way they were able to attribute their power was being able to suppress um, people of the civilization down just enough for a long time in order for them to accumulate not only just knowledge, but also profit, right? Because at the end of the day, 400 plus years of suppressing people with knowledge. Nobody knows anything about the stock market. Remember, you can't learn how to read or write. Um, these things this could catapult a culture to power if that is the case. And that's exactly what happened with the US coming about. Okay? You kept people from learning. You kept an entire culture from learning. You suppressed them from being able to make money. You know the slave plantation masters made all the money. They made all the profit, right? So that catapults one percentage of the civilization into power. That's power. Now, like I said, it's the most devious shit you've ever heard. This is the most devious shit that you've ever heard, but it's 100% true, and that's how power works. That's how it works, and it's like I said, it's the same thing that's going on today, with these kids going to school and they're learning about nothing, nothing. They don't know anything about credit. They don't know anything about the market. They don't know anything other than what you can remember on a test. How good can you remember something? What did Winston Churchill do? Like, all of these things are not attributes to power, but you see how it works. If you design if you design different cultures in one specific systematic way, you keep another culture going upwards for a long period of time. And you guys know when I'm talking about the cultures that I'm talking about and the minorities that I'm talking about, it is completely lopsided. Completely. But that's the attributes of power. The Greeks did it, the Romans did it, the Arabs did it. And as you can see, there are different empires that comes about through power. Crazy, man, but that's that's what it is. That's how you get it, right? And it's obviously you can, like I said, it's a lot of influence. But if you really understand of the understanding of suppression and keeping someone away from something so important, and that could just be identity, that could be knowledge, but those things on the other level can create the power for the ones that are doing those things. Easy money, easy work. That's like you getting ready to play a chess game and you just learn from three grandmaster champions, and this other person is coming in and they've been playing chess, but the grandmaster champions decided to never deal with that opponent. And then the opponent comes and sits down with the opponent that's dealt with the three grandmasters, and he gets crushed every single time, every single time, because of the level of power. Like I said, it could be attributed to knowledge, identity, influence, but that's how you get it. And if you look at the U.S. right now, or you backtrack in the ancient past along to the modern era, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. But that's all I got for you guys. Scrolls of Truth number 2, how power works. And if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. This is a small channel, but we plan on doing big things. And remember, truth's in session. Peace.